Hello, and a warm welcome to our weekly show, Love Athletics. In this program, we bring you the latest highlights from our sport with expert input from different continental areas. And we're delighted to have back as our guest French coach, statistician, and big athletics lover, Pierre-Jean Vazel. Hello, Pierre-Jean. Lovely to see
Hello.
you again. And a big thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. My pleasure.
Now, Pierre-Jean, I had asked you during the program on super shoes how you had started your career in athletics. It was such a wonderful story that after that, now I always ask our guests, and there are some really wonderful stories coming out. But tell us, what were your three favorite moments in the course of your career?
So I had a kind of double career as a coach and chronicler. But first of all, I'm a fan, and the best memory as a fan was in front of my TV. Unfortunately, I was not in the crowd in Athens 04 Olympics, but I got to see Françoise Mbongo winning the triple jump, and it was an even more emotional moment for her because as the journalist asked her why she had this bold style, she cut her hair very short. She explained that she wanted to take a homage to her mother who was fighting cancer. And 4 years later, I was fortunate enough to be on the stands in Beijing Olympics, and seeing her winning again bring me to tears because it was such a joyful moment for her. She was coached by her sister by now, so it was very atypical, and it worked, and it was just happiness for her and a great moment. And I think a very underrated athlete because she was second all time at the time, and double Olympic champion at triple jump, beating the Russians was really a huge feat.
She was a fantastic athlete and a fantastic character as well.
And 4 years later, again in 2012, she tried to qualify for Olympics, but on French barrier. So she didn't make it, but she made the European champs with the team. And a very strong moment in my career was when she introduced herself to the French team. She took the mic and introduced herself at the opening ceremony for French team. And she was extremely I can't find the name. She was it was very powerful and motivational moment because she said that she was just discovering other athletes with a new team, but she never mentioned she was a double Olympic champion. So she was very humble, and she said good luck to the team, and I wish people would know her more and learn from her more.
Wow, that's a wonderful anecdote.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
As a chronicler, my favorite moment was interviewing Marie-Josée Pérec in 2015. It was before Aubonne women's meeting indoors, and Marie-Jo was a guest for this meet, and with Le Monde we managed to get an interview with her. Pérec was the very first subject of my very first article for World Athletics back in 2004. So she's kind of a lucky person for me. And although I knew her like this, not very deeply, this interview was, I had 1 hour to talk with her and to ask questions I always wanted to ask as a fan from the 90s. And it was, I kind of knew what question to ask her, starting with what she felt on the track, because these are the kind of questions she likes, and when you can start an interview with her and get her in the good mood and have the good answers, if I may say, with her. So that was and she was able to talk about things she never said before, like before Sydney Olympics, she started her season with races under a fake name, and she ran against male in Germany to check her sport form. And nobody had the results. And she told me, I ran 200 meters and the 400 meters. And she told me she ran 22.6 early in the season at 200. But she told me, I won't tell you the time for 400 meters because it's still a secret. So that was a very nice interview with her. And she said very strong things, like when she was losing a race, it was like she was going to die. And you could see, I could recollect when I see her races that she never wanted to lose, and she was not racing a lot during the season, but every time she was racing, she knew she was ready, and when she lost, it was a disaster. So she was kind of intense personality, and I like that too.
Definitely very intense, and such a wonderful athlete, and such a beautiful foulée. It was,
Yes.
stride, wonderful to look at.
She still has the longest strides ever measured for women, over 2.50 meters.
Wow.
That's why she was she gave the impression she was on air all the time.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah. And as a coach, my best memory is in 2006 in Doha. I was it was a Super League meeting, Super Grand Prix meeting, I think it was called up back then, with Olusoji Fasuba, the Nigerian sprinter I was coaching then. It was just after the Commonwealth Games. So he was in shape, and he kept momentum in that shape after the Commonwealth Games, because he started the training season very early in September the year before. So he was really peaking. But unfortunately, before this Doha meet, he had a big fever, and he thought it was malaria. So he was very uncomfortable going there. So I decided last minute to take a plane and join him in Doha. It was funny because I had no room at all. I had no ticket meal. It was because I was not on the list, and I can say it now but I was hiding myself there because I was not supposed to be there at all. So I was very afraid that people would discover me. And anyway, Fasuba ran the hits with Gatlin, and he was a superstar back then. But Olu ran 9.93, and he pushed Gatlin to 9.85. And in that race, it was like everything was perfect in place. He barely almost didn't warm up before that race because it was very hot and windy, and he just did the 60 meter and he equaled his PB. So we knew he was ready. And then in that race, the wind was much more down than in the warm-up track. And he just let Kaplan pass, and he still ran 9.93. And that was, I was crazy because I always told myself, if this guy is not breaking 10 seconds, it would be a big failure in my coaching career because I would mess up things. He was so talented that he should have done sub 10 at one point. And he did that in hits. And for the final, he managed to calm down and focus again, and he ran 9.85, which was an African record until last year. So it was a very strong and happy moment for us. But we still believe that he could have run a little faster, but he was still checking where is Gatlin in that race because he was leading up to 80 meters. And on the picture, you can see that Olu is looking on his side, trying to figure out where is Gatlin. And that's the moment where Gatlin catched him and passed, and equal the world record back then, but it was disallowed because of doping control after that. But that was a very happy moment for us, and we celebrate every year the 12th May, the 12th of May as a happy day. But then later he was world champion indoors, but it was a relief. It was not just pure happiness because he needed to win that race, and when he did it, it was a relief more than a happiness, just pure joy like it was in Doha.
Congratulations, PJ. That's a fantastic story. And yeah, just having the intuition that the athlete needed you there at the moment, it certainly played a part in Olusoji's success that day.
Yes, it was great moments, and he's still a great friend of mine, and we have a lot of memories about our adventure all around the world with athletics.
Congratulations to both of you.
Yeah. Thank you.
So let's look now at what's been happening over the past fortnight before we come back up with our guest. So my top picks from last week, starting with stadium events. We had 2 Diamond League meetings since last Friday. On the 5th of June, Diamond League meeting in Rabat. And Olympic champion Soufiane El Bakali delighted the home crowd, taking victory in 7:58.28, a new world lead, consolidating his role as the man to beat in the 3,000 steeplechase. On the women's side, the top result was another great race by double Olympic champion Elaine Thompson-Herah, who took the 100 in 10:83. Another remarkable result was the 3rd victory in a row by Kenya's 800 meter 17-year-old Emmanuel Wanyonyi in 1:45.47. Not a super time in itself, but still his 3rd victory in a row after Ostrava and Nairobi. And unfortunately, the other noteworthy result in Rabat is a sad one. It's the Olympic 400 meter hurdles champion Karsten Warholm, who was making his 22 debut and ended his race after just 100 meters, clutching his right hamstring. The Norwegian world record holder had declared immediately after the race that he feared a hamstring tear, but later said he hoped it may just be a cramp. However, Norwegian broadcaster NRK has since informed that Warholm has pulled out of his home Diamond League in Oslo on the 16th, and that his World Championship campaign may be in danger. Very best wishes for a prompt recovery to Karsten, who is not only a great champion, but really one of the most likable and enthusiastic athletes in the sport. And of course, last night we had the 2nd Diamond League meeting in Rome. 5 world leads were set there, 3 of them by female athletes. Among the men, Nicolas Kipkorir Kimeli went below 12 minutes 50 in the 5,000 meters, clocking 12:46.33, the 7th best performance of all time, with compatriot Jacob Kropp just behind in 12:46.79. And in the men's 3,000 meter race walk, Italy's Francesco Fortunato set a world lead in 10:57.77. As for the women, 800 meter Olympic champion Athing Mu ran 1:57.01 for a world lead in her first race in Europe in almost 3 years, and her first Diamond League meet after she was forced to withdraw from Eugene with a bout of COVID. 100 meters world champion Jasmine Camacho Quinn continued her great season, clocking 12:37 world lead, and now holds the top 3 marks in her event this season. And finally, the other world lead in Rome was Sandy Morris, who jumped 4 meters 81 in the pole vault. Other notable performances in the Italian capital included La Mecha Girma, who took the 3,000 meter steeplechase in 7:59:23, his third run under 8 minutes this season. The 70 meter 72 in the discus for Christian Tse, who had 4 throws which would have enabled him to win the competition, and now holds the 3 best marks of the season. And among the women, Sharika Jackson toppled the double Olympic champion Elaine Thompson-Herah in the 200, clocking 21:91 to 21:25. Great Diamond League action, but there was more in other meetings since last Friday. 3 Continental Tour Gold events were also held last week in Bydgoszcz, Chorzów, and Hengelo. On the 3rd of June, in the Irena Shewinska Memorial in Bydgoszcz, Poland, a Continental Tour Gold event, top results came in the throws. Thomas Walsh edged Joe Kovacs by only 4 centimeters, 21 meters 80 to 21:76. And the home stars, Wojciech Nowicki and Anita Włodarczyk, won the hammer throw with 80 meters 28 and 74 meters 13 respectively. 2 days later, Janusz Kusociński Memorial in Chorzów, another Continental Tour Gold event, and a world lead by Wojciech Nowicki, who unleashed a throw of 81 meters 58 in the final round to take back the world lead in the competition after France's Quentin Bigot, coached by PJ Vazel, who had taken the lead in round 4, improving his PB to 80 meters 55 for the second time in 8 days. And we'll talk about this more a little later. In the women's hammer, Anita Włodarczyk took the win in 75:76, leading a Polish 1-2-3 to delight the home crowd. But the top performance among the women was achieved in the 100 hurdles by Jasmine Camacho Quinn, who clocked 12:43 in the second best at the time mark of the year into a headwind of -1.4. Amazing, Jasmine. Now, Pierre-Jean, first of all, congratulations. As we saw earlier, your athlete Quentin Bigot has twice improved his PB in the past 2 weeks, first breaking 80 meters on 29 May in Forbach, and then improving to 80:55 in Chorzów. Tell us what factors helped him up his level this year.
So actually, we can trace it back to the lockdowns. He couldn't really have access to competition at all, or he just had the training field next to his home, so he was able to throw a little. And that was the time where he decided to make some technical changes with improving his weak point, which is his entry into the first turn. It was always small, and he really spent all training trying to open this first turn on the left side, and with the new hammers he never threw, like a light hammer with a short wire. And he was very happy after some weeks about the results. And in 2021, he managed to throw 80 meters at training. But that year was plagued with a corona, because he was out for 10 days and he needed 5 weeks to recover. Then he had his back injury before Tokyo. So that's why he could not break that barrier last year. In competition, he did 79:70. So this year was another year and another cycle. So he resumed training a bit late. Well, the real training focused, because he trained a lot, but without much intensity until January, because he needed to recover from that 5-year preparation for the Olympics. And we see this year that a lot of athletes are injured, like Warholm, Jacobs, Mboma, Vetter, who were all very strong last year. And it's difficult to come back every year with new goals. And Quentin managed to do it, but as I said, we took 4 months really to recover mentally and physically from this hard Olympic year with the illness and everything. And that's why we are not really surprised, because our goal is to throw 81 meters this year. So, and of course for Paris Olympics, 83. So 1 meter every year is the goal. It's difficult, but Quentin embraces this goal, and we see that hammer throwing is going farther and farther. A lot of people now are throwing 78, 79. We saw this wave coming in Doha. Although we took second place, it was only with 78 meter 19. And I told him it's not going to be enough next year because everybody's throwing 78 meters now. And that's what happened, but we didn't believe that the podium would be so high with 81.50, I think. And it was the strongest podium ever on the Olympics. So that's the level required now. And maybe 82 even this year won't be enough to take a medal. If everybody is healthy and at his best, 82 will be required to get the medal. So we are hopefully we will do it. But as I said, for Fasuba, sub 10, if he doesn't do sub 10, I would fail as a coach. Quentin is the same. If he didn't throw 80 meters, I would fail as a coach. It's symbolic barriers, and we are happy it's broken, and now we can have focus on medals now.
Great. And as you said, silver medal in the last World Championships. Problems hampered him in Doha, in Tokyo Olympics, where he was fifth. But obviously your goal for Eugene must be a medal.
Yes, hopefully 81 meters. And then I don't know what he will give us. If it's fifth place, I don't know. Because you've got Weidek, Nowitzki, Henriksen, the Americans. You get at least two that can throw over 80 meters. Plus Kohan, the Ukrainian, maybe Alash. It's a momentum. I mean, hammer throw, like it was in shot put after Rio Olympics. The results are improving, and everybody is fighting each other to improve and get a better version of themselves. So that's why we see those waves in all events. Actually, some events are in the low, like men high jump is not really as high as a few years ago when medals were, or first place were over 2.40 meters. It's the life of each event, and now it's a momentum for hammer throw. Same for women, actually, I may say.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you, PJ. Let's continue our tour of recent events. So on 6 June, Fanny Blancker's Kuhn Games were held in Hengelo, in a cool and sometimes rainy day, and 2 world leads were set there. In the pole vault, a world record holder, Mondo Duplantis, who had won the Diamond League meeting in Eugene on his outdoor debut with only 5 meters 91, promptly shot back above 6 meters with 6 meters 01. And in the women's shot put, world indoor silver medalist Chase Ely heaved her implement to 19 meters 98 to improve her recent world lead and defeat Belgrade gold medalist Ariol Doncmo with 1968. However, a late addition in the season's top list shows that this mark was in fact not a world lead, as Chinese shot putter Song Jiayuan had thrown 20 meters 20 in Shanghai a week earlier on 28 May. And another top mark in Hengelo came from Grenada's Anderson Peters, who threw his javelin to 90 meters 75, the third best mark of the season. Eilish McColgan notched up another great performance, clocking 30 minutes 19:02 over 10,000 meters in a race that she led all the way, breaking the Scottish record of her mother Liz, the 1991 world champion, leaving multiple record holder Letsenbet Gidey almost 20 meters behind. But for Letsenbet, who on the contrary stayed towards the back of the pack, only worked her way up to 4th position with 1 kilometer to go and outsprinted Ejgayu Taye on the home straight, it was a tactical race. And the event in Hengelo served as the Ethiopian 10,000 meter trials, and the country's top distance runners were competing for a spot in the national team at the World Championships. And in the women's steeplechase, victory went to Uganda's Olympic champion Perot Chemutai in 9:14.00, and fourth placed Ethiopian Simbo Alemayeo set an under 18 world best of 9 minutes 18:98. She had already come close to the world best a month ago in Nairobi and improved the previous mark set in 2016 by Kenya's double world under 20 champion Selifin Chespal by almost 6 seconds. But for most of the spectators in Hengelo, the highlight was Femke Bol's debut over 4,000 meters hurdles, and the Olympic bronze medalist did not disappoint, taking the win in 53:94. Now, various championships have started a couple of days ago. On the 7th to 11 June, Oceania Championships in Mackay, Australia. 9 to 11 June, NCAA Division 1 Championships in Eugene, USA. And on 8 to 12 June, African Championships in Saint-Pierre, Mauritius. And the participation record of the African Championships has been broken with a total of 636 athletes, 257 women, and 379 men. We will discuss these in detail now next week, but must anticipate that at the Oceania Championships, an area record was broken in the 100-meter women by Zoe Hobbs in 11:09. The New Zealander had already set the Oceania record at 600 meters, 60 meters during the World Indoors last March, and improved her 100-meter PB twice this year, before the mark that propelled her to the head of the continental list. And other top marks from stadium events include the following world leads. Among the men, on 3 June, the men's 4x100 meter relay team, Germany clocked 37:99 in Regensburg. On 7 June, Ilya Ivanchuk, the 219 bronze medalist, made his outdoor debut with a world-leading 2 meters 34 in the high jump at the Znamensky Memorial in Moscow. Among the women, on 3 June, 400-meter hurdles in Nashville saw a great debut by Sydney McLaughlin in 51:61, a huge world lead and the third best mark of all time. But it's high time to come back to our guest. So Pierre-Jean, it's really interesting, I find, that many of the top marks so far this year have come in the throwing events. Ryan Krauser's 23 meters 02 world lead in the shot put is worth 1,302 points and is, together with Arion Knighton's 1949 at 200 meters, the best performance of the year so far. And Anderson Peters' 93 meters 07 in the javelin is the third best mark. Among the women, Yalem Zerfiehwale's 29:14 in the 10K road race is the best mark of 2022, worth 1,290 points, followed by Valerie Allman's 71:46 meters in the discus, 1,283, and Sydney McLaughlin's 51:61, which is 1,281 points. Can these great performances help, and the strong competition in the men's shot put, help elevate the profile of throwing events?
Yes, I believe that those great performances are great promotion for the throwing events. We can see that they take more and more places also on the main meetings, including the Diamond League and hammer throw. Although it's not included in the Diamond League program, it's included now in 3 meetings in Paris, because France has two great hammer throwers in Alexandra Tavernier and Quentin Bigot. So it's included now in the pre-program this year. The same in Oslo, because Norwegian Henriksen is an Olympic medalist, so they wanted him to have a appearance in his public, and also in Poland in August with the Chorzów meeting. I think it's upgraded to Diamond League status, and of course the best hammer throwers in the world at Polish for men and women, so they will have their show there also. But since a world record can come anytime from Krauser, and great performance also from Che or Stahl in men's discus, and Allman also. Everybody's looking at their performances now. And javelin throw also, with Peters, the Grenadian, who is in incredible form and throwing twice, I think this year, already over 90 meters. Hoffman getting in shape, and we are still looking for Vetter and Chopra's comeback this year. It's very exciting in all events. And even shot put, as you mentioned, there's a new girl over 20 meters now, Song, who was a world medalist in junior in 2016, and now she was fifth last year. And I know very well because she was there when I was in China, in Shanghai training, and she was always training and close to us. So I'm very happy that she's finally managing to fulfill her potential. And she's one of the rare throwers throwing in rotation. So that's very interesting, and she's very tall and strong. So, but she can still improve her strength. But her technique might lead her maybe to 21 meters.
Wow. Thanks. That's really interesting to hear more about Song. Thank you. So tell us, Pierre-Jean, among all the great performances already registered in 2020, what are your three favorite athletics moments so far this year?
So first, I was very shocked with the 1949 by Knighton. It's not very usual that a sub 19 years old athlete makes the all-time top 4 in his event. We've seen that sometimes in the high jump, sometimes in distance running also, but 200 meters, it's incredible. So we were not expecting that, especially since he has changed his training with Coach Holloway. Guidance, his training is geared towards national championships in June and, of course, world champs, and no more in university competitions. So we were expecting performances later for him, but it happened very soon. So everybody was stunned, and he beat Fanbule by several meters, and Fabule was Olympic finalist. So it was a real race for the doubters. It was a real 19.49. So looking forward to see him running 200 meters again soon.
Very, very impressive, Arion.
And then for other performances, of course, the 51.61 by McLaughlin, especially since there was an oddity in this race. The fifth hurdle is supposed to be placed at 185 meters, but as we can see on the video, it's placed at 190 meters. So she lost count of a step. And after this fifth hurdle, she shuffled her legs and had to break before each barrier. And in spite of that, she almost broke her own world record. So although this performance, there's no ratification, of course, because it's not a record any kind, but maybe it won't be included in the list. Although it was a disadvantage for her to have this hurdle misplaced, but it happens even in great meetings. In 1992 in Berlin, which was a Golden Four, I think, one of the very top meetings, they forgot to place the last hurdle in men's 400 hurdles, and there was a great athlete like Kevin Young and Samuel Matete and all those, and they were surprised to not have that last hurdle. It happened also in 2007 in another race with Felix Sanchez and other great hurdlers. It happens, it's a mistake, and fortunately nobody was injured because athletes can fall down because they are so used to their step marks that it can be dangerous. When it happens at high hurdles, it's a disaster sometimes. And the other performance that stands out for me is Allman, who managed to throw over 71 meters without apparently special help for wind. We know that wind can help discus throw for plus 6 or 7 meters when it's on the right direction, right angle. But in closed stadiums, the wind is much less, and you can trust that those performances are really not helped with the wind. So in good conditions, you can imagine that she can gain some meters and maybe approach the very old record held by Gabriele Range since '88, which was done in Nebrodenburg. But everybody knows that Nebrodenburg was a very windy place and open place. That's where also the men's discus throw was world record was set since '86, and the record holder Jürgen Schultz was the first to say that it was a lucky throw. That's what he said, and that year his best result at training and in competition was 67 meters. Although he threw over 70 meters later, he gained 7 meters in that lucky throw, and probably Che or Stahl in good conditions can approach this mark as well.
Wow. Mm-mm. Let's focus a little bit more on Valerie Allman. She's a former dancer, and this grace definitely shows in her throws. Now, you were educated at the Beaux-Arts. You're fascinated by data and biomechanics, and explained in several interviews that as a synesthete, when observing an athlete's movements, your other senses are also affected. Or when observing figures, you also perceive sounds and colors. Do you see a difference in the way Allman throws respect to other athletes? And how do you perceive her throws?
Yes, it's so for me, each athlete has his own color, each person. And for me, sorry, but Valerie Allman is light blue, a little bit like my T-shirt today, by the way. And the way her throws are, as you said, my senses are provoked by what I received, and each throw is a little bit different perception, and it's anchored in my memory, in my body, with the different colors, sounds, and sensations. So when there's a huge throw, I can hear it, even though I'm far or in front of my TV. I can hear it's a difference, and now I can connect those differences with good throw, average throw, bad throw. And when I see her, of course, and it's not special to my synesthesia ability, I think everybody is amazed by her virtuosity on the cycle, and there is a kind of valse in the discus through. It's part of the technical vocabulary also, but she's really dancing on the cycle, and if you enjoy watching her throwing, you should also even more enjoying her watching her warming up, because it's like a dancer who is preparing herself to a ballet, and she cuts down her throw in different phases and repeats herself and rehearse those movements with such grace and beauty. It's efficient and beautiful in the meantime. So that's what athletics lovers really enjoy.
Fantastic. Thank you, Pierre-Jean. That was fascinating. Let's take a final look at the week's results and road races. So on the 4th of June at Nelson Mandela Half Bay Marathon in Canberra, South Africa, victory in the women's race went to Ftazera's Bezawe in 66.57, ahead of Namibia's World Championship bronze medalist Helalia Johannes in 67.49. Johannes is now 41, and her time is a world over 40 record. On 5 June in Madrid, Spain, Kenyan Olympian Weldon Langat broke the course record at the Madrid Vintage Run 10K in 26:35, which would be a world lead and the second fastest time in history, but it was set on a downhill course with minus 174 meters between start and finish, and therefore cannot be ratified for record purposes. Now, an important development outside the stadia and the roads is the open letter sent by Olympic champion and triple world champion Maria Lasitskene to IOC President Thomas Bach. In the letter, Maria specifies that, and I quote, "My main contenders in the high jump sector are Ukrainian girls, and I still don't know what to say to them or how to look into their eyes. They and their friends and relatives are experiencing what no human being should ever have to feel." But Maria also quotes phrases by the IOC president and takes him to task for the discrepancy between his words and actions. For example, while Bach declared that there is no sanction and there should be no sanction for holding a passport, the IOC has imposed a blanket ban on athletes from Russia and Belarus, based exclusively on their passport. She also points out the absurdity of claiming that the suspension of Russian athletes is due to safety concerns. Bach is quoted saying, "In a number of countries, you had and have such high feelings against Russian people that you could not guarantee their safety." However, Russian tennis players have continued to play on the ATP and WTA tours without suffering any acts of aggression. Maria Lasitskene already had to sit out the 2016 Olympic Games through no fault of her own. She has been very critical of her federation in regard to doping and had already written an open letter criticizing international sports officials at the end of 2019 when WADA imposed a new 4-year ban on Russian athletes. Now she is again fighting for herself and for all Russian athletes. Pierre-Jean, what do you think about Maria's letter?
It's unfortunately we see that athletes are against once again the hostage of political decisions that they have nothing to do with that. Obviously, she wrote a courageous letter, but I'm not sure it will change Putin's mind or even Bach's mind. And athletes are powerless, and the sanctions are against them and not against the leaders. And the leaders can still work from their country, but athletes can't. So the sanctions is only on people who have no power and have nothing to do with the situation. And she talked about the inconsistencies in the decisions, and we can see that elsewhere in the world there are also wars, and the athletes in these countries are not banned because of the war decided by their leaders. So it's very unfortunate, and I can see Ukrainian on the circuit and some people I know from some years, and we don't talk about politics. I just have to tell them that we think strongly about them, and all our thoughts and heart are with them, and that's the only thing we can do. And that's very pity, and at least for Ukrainians, they can have training camps because they receive grants from the European Athletics and from other parts, I'm sure. Also, meetings are helping them with hotels and accommodations and training facilities. And that I think continuing their sport is a way to support also their family, because their family know their kids are doing sport and safe where they are. So that's very, very good for them. At least that's a kind of relief to be able to do that.
Yeah, definitely. I totally agree. Because as I say, we all agree, and Maria is the first one to say that what is happening to the Ukrainian people should never be happening. But the decision to ban all Russian and Belarusian athletes is pure politics. And it's against, in my opinion, the very essence of sport. It's in clear contradiction to the rules that have hitherto been enforced on other countries and against athletes. Other athletes were punished for staging political protests or even just displaying a shirt in solidarity with oppressed people. Now, the thing is totally different. And many, especially outside the West, are calling out what they perceive as double standards. But let's move on. Pierre-Jean, as we saw, coaching is a lot about technical aspects, but you sometimes have a wider role as confident advisor, even on personal matters, given that you spend so much time with your athletes and often create a tight bond. You just gave an example of this with Olusoji Fazuba and his race in Doha, where he ended up setting the African record. Have you had other instances like this with your athletes?
Yes, for example, Quentin says that he sees me more often than his wife. So of course we have a very close relationship, but as a coach also I need to find the right position and right distances with athletes. Now I'm getting a little bit old with over 40 years old, but for a long time I was younger or the same age as my athletes. So I needed to be not friend with them and not confuse these roles. Sometimes it's difficult because I want to be friend with them and vice versa, but I need to be efficient as a coach to find the right position and distance, and also as ethics, because as a professional, I have to take care of their wellness and their well-being, and it's very important for me to check that they are healthy in their body, in their mind. And for this also I cannot be friend, and I have to make sometimes the right decisions and direct them to the right professionals with the medical, the physios. And I'm not a doctor, I'm not a physio, I'm not a psychologist, so I need to be really clear with my role and not digress for their own safety and efficiency.
It's true, it's a fine balance, because on one hand, you spend so much time together and you do create a special bond, but at the same time, you have to set some limits.
Yes, that's those limits also they are waiting for, looking for, and sometimes they want to digress, of course, and go beyond. But that's the duty, I think, of the coach, to be professional and to ensure a safe environment for them and for me also. So that's a difficult balance to find sometimes, because I see some, of course, their life have an effect into their sport results, but some things irritate me sometimes. But I have to take myself out and say, oh, that's life, that's what's going on, and as a coach I cannot do nothing about it. So that's not my role.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Now, we don't usually look into the personal lives of athletes, but it's time now for some athletics family news. Ana Peleteiro, the Olympic bronze medalist, will miss this year's major events, as she is expecting her first child with French triple jumper Benjamin Compaoré, the 214 European champion. The couple are both former world under-20 gold medalists in their event, Compaoré in 2006 and Peleteiro in 2012. So time will tell if the genes and passion for athletics will continue in the family. A number of other female athletes have also recently announced that they will not compete in 2022 as they are taking maternity leave. The pandemic ground sports to a halt in 2020 and then revolutionized the calendar, pushing the Olympics to 2021. So many athletes put off marriages and engagements. But after Tokyo, there were several high-profile announcements. And let's just mention 3 Olympic champions. Sydney McLaughlin announced her engagement to Andre Levrone Jr. on 25 August, shortly after her fabulous world record at the Olympics. McLaughlin posted a passionate message extolling the moral virtues of her future husband on her Instagram account. Andre Levrone Jr. was an American football player, a promising wide receiver, before injuries forced him to retire at age 25. The couple were married this year on 5 May, and McLaughlin, who took a break after Tokyo, ran her first 400-meter hurdles, a fabulous race as we saw, exactly a month later. Marcel Jacobs, the 100-meter champion, proposed to his longtime girlfriend and mother of 2 of his children, Nicole Daza, on 9 September, on the track where he trains in Manerba del Garda, with Nicole in a sparkling evening dress. And as a true sprinter, his Instagram message was much shorter than McLaughlin's. She said yes. For his part, Gianmarco Tamberi had proposed to Chiara Bontempi, his partner for almost 12 years, on 16 July before traveling to Tokyo. He had declared on a Facebook post, "I wanted to prove to you that you're absolutely the most important thing in my life, much more important than any dream or goal. A few days before the most important event in my career, this moment is worth 1,000 times many others." Other athletes who got married since Tokyo and now compete under their married names include Serbia's long jump world indoor champion, Ivana Španović, who tied the knot with her longtime partner, fitness trainer Marco Vuleta, in September last year. And more recently, Australia's Olympic high jump silver medalist, Nicola McDermott, who married fiancé Rise Olislagers on 7 April this year. Congratulations and best wishes to all the athletes and their partners. Let's look now at upcoming events as we reach the end of our show. As we saw, there's various championships currently underway, and they will conclude over the weekend. Oceania Championships in Mackay, NCAA Division 1 Championships in Eugene, African Championships in Saint-Pierre, Maurice. Then this 11 June, we have the New York Mini 10K. On Sunday, 12 June, USA TF New York Grand Prix, a Continental Tour Gold event. On the 14th, Pavo-Nurmi Games in Turku, Finland, another Continental Tour Gold event. Then 2 Diamond League meetings, 16 June Bislett Games in Oslo, and on Saturday 18, the Meeting de Paris in Paris. So we're now at the end of our program. It was great having Pierre-Jean with us on the show.
Thank you. And for the carnet, we can also add that Christophe Lemaitre became a father 1 month ago. So that was a good news also for French athletics.
Oh, great. Congratulations, Christophe and his wife. Thank you, Pierre-Jean. It's always fascinating to talk to you. There's so many different facets and aspects. It's a real pleasure.
Thank you. I love your show, Anna.
Thank you. And thank you all for watching. See you next week on Love Athletics to look together at the highlights, comments, and analysis of what's been happening in our sport over the past 7 days. Bye-bye.